boys and girls. This is Mrs. Burnett. Today we're going to learn about reflections in the coordinate plane. These are the MSG notes that are linked in the blog post. So you can print out a copy or you can just work from the Word document. Remember, when you have a Word document, you can always go to the Draw feature here, select a pen, and that will allow you to mark on your paper anywhere that you might need to. There's not a whole lot of writing to be done on this first page. It's more informational, and I'll go through it in a minute. But down here at the bottom, we might want to actually be able to type some numbers in. You can use the keyboard and type in whatever numbers that you might need to type there. So you wouldn't have to necessarily use the draw pen there. But on the second page where you're going to be doing some practice, where you're doing a little bit of practice, this might be when you want to go back to your draw feature or you want to have a copy of this page written down. So I'm going to go to my document camera here. I already have a few things written down on this sheet because I was taping this video, and at some point my camera got disconnected and then my audio was gone and I couldn't get things to work again. So anyway, I'm redoing it because sometimes that's how it happens. And those of you who have me as a teacher know that I am always running into technical difficulties. So this has been a real learning opportunity for me as we've been at home, because I'm learning all kinds of digital things that I really didn't know how to do, and now I'm better, but we still have mistakes. So anyway, I know you can read, but I'm going to read this anyway. A reflection is a mirror image of an object that has been flipped over an axis. In this example, the triangle was reflected over the x-axis. Remember that the horizontal axis is x, the vertical axis is always y. When you flip an image, you are literally taking this shape and flipping it over. You're going across the x-axis. This particular point is -2, 2, and we know that the x value always comes first, then the y value. So -2, 2. This point, when it is crossed over to the x-axis, the opposite, the y value becomes the opposite of the original point. So -2, 2 becomes -2, -2, because you had to go down the y-axis to -2. This point, 6, 5, over 6, up 5, is reflected. We still have to be on the same point at 6 on the x-axis, but when it comes across the x-axis, this becomes 6, -5. And the same thing for this point, -1, 7, because we've gone over -1 and up to 7. When this point is flipped over the x-axis, it becomes -1, -7. So hopefully after looking at those 3 points, you've noticed one thing about what happens to the coordinates of the two triangles. The x value, all right, the x value, 6, 6, -2, -2, -1, -1, they stay the same. But the y value is what changes. This is 5, -5. 7, -7, and 2, -2. So what happens to reflect? The x value stays the same, but the y value is the opposite. So there are two little rules about reflecting across the axis. If you were reflecting across the x-axis, which is the horizontal, we're taking this shape and we want to reflect it over. The rule is to keep the x coordinate the same, so the x is the same, and you find the opposite of the y coordinate. To flip across the y-axis, which is the vertical, when we're going across the y coordinate stays the same, The y-coordinate is the same, but we find the opposite of the x-coordinate. So they've shown you right here on the coordinate grid, and a number line. You have the number line here. Here's 4, the opposite of negative 4. If you have -4, then the opposite of -4 is 4. This is a coordinate on the grid. Its points are 4, 0 because we went across 4, and on the y-axis, we didn't go up any, so that point is 0. So if we're flipping, if we're flipping across the y, then the x value is the one that changes. Okay, so let's look at the bottom of the page, and there's an example of a polygon that's already been done for you. This is the original shape. This is the x-axis. This is the y-axis. You don't have any numbers. I numbered this already in the previous video. So if you need to pause and number yours, you can do that now. All right. Basically, we're going to be reflecting across the y, the vertical. This shape is being flipped over to this point. Notice that the reflected points all have a prime symbol. That is something that looks like an apostrophe. This S apostrophe is read S prime. That means it's the reflection of point S. All right, so S prime, or S with a little apostrophe, it's the reflection of point S. So that one has been done for us. If we look here, we filled in the table with the coordinates. P is at -8, -3, we've come down 3. And to flip that across over to here, they've already done it and labeled it for us. Here's 8, -3. And those are the points that have been written in there. So let's look at Q. If you're doing this on your Word document, you can just type it in. So here's point Q. I go over 2, past 0, so that's -2, and down 3. So my point is -2, -3. And when I reflect this point over to here, I am changing my x value because I've gone to 2, but I'm still at -3. So the point is 2, -3. For point R, over -8 and down to -6. So -8, -6. And this is the point R, that I'm reflecting over to here. So I'm remembering I'm going across the y-axis, so you're keeping the y, but changing the x. You're getting the opposite of -8, and the opposite of -8 is +8, but the y value stays the same, -6. So we can look at that, 8, -6. And then point S is -2, -6, right here, down 6, over 2, down 6, and S prime is +2, -6. So when you reflect across y, the y value stays the same, but the x value becomes the opposite. So this at the bottom is asking us to do a reflection across the x-axis. So we're going back to our original shape here, okay? And if it is being reflected across x, here's the x-axis. We start with their original points here, okay? These are our original points. And now we're going to do a reflection of these across x. So if we want to say P prime across the x-axis, and I guess the best place to write those is down here at the bottom. Here are our originals. So we're going to do a P prime across x. So we're going to just say across x at the bottom here. It's hard to read my pencil, isn't it? So this is -8, so we're going -8. This is -3, so we have to go +3. So it's -8, +3. And this is P prime. I think you can read that. And then let's do Q prime, and we'll go in the order that we have here. This x value stays the same, -2, all right? So here's Q on the y axis here, okay? Here's Q, -2, and then +3. So the opposite of -3 is +3. We have R prime, -8, -6. Well, we have to go over -8, but we're going up +6. So that would be right here. And I can do that because I know this is 3 more than 3. 6 is 3 more than 3. That puts us, I didn't label my points. This is R prime. So -8, opposite of -6 is +6. And then S would be right here because I know I have a rectangle. So that's easy to do. But if I'm looking at my points, -2, that stays the same. My X value stays the same because I'm reflecting across Y. So the Y is what I get the opposite of. So it's kind of like a rule that you can remember, and you have created the reflection across the X axis. So what we would like for you guys to do at this point is to work on the reflection practice that is the second page of the Word document. So there are a couple things you can do. It says for each figure below, label the ordered pairs for each point, then reflect across the given axis. Be sure to label the ordered pairs for each point on the reflection. So basically what it's saying to you is what are the points for B? So over here on the side you can do A, B, C, D. And for point A you would write 1, -4. Okay, B, 4, -4. And so on. And notice that you want to pay attention on this page that you're reflecting across which axis. If we reflect across the X axis, it means that we have to go across the X line. So my rectangle is going to be in this box. So I would, if I were you, I would write down on my page A prime with a set of ordered, with the parentheses for ordered pairs, B prime. All right, now I'm going to just do this first one with you. If I reflect point A across the x-axis, I'm going over 1 and up 4. 1, 4. And that is A prime. It has that what looks like a little 1 above it. And notice that I made a mistake here. I'm sorry, I didn't make a mistake. This is -4. I had not put my -4 in there. And the opposite is +4. So it's very easy, boys and girls, to make mistakes and forget your little negative signs. As I've said to you a lot of times before when we've been taking notes, when you are talking and writing and doing at the same time, it sometimes creates problems. So we would like for you to work through this sheet, and tomorrow we're going to spend more time on reflections, but this would just be good practice for you before we do a Zoom lesson tomorrow. Hope you have a good day.